When Alien Romulus was first announced, I didn't know what to think. Most are in agreement that Alien and its sequel Aliens stand tall amongst the rest, and all the films that have followed just take things too far in one aspect or another. But hope was instilled in me when I discovered that Fede Alvarez would direct this new chapter, which sets its story between the first two films. And that's because in the past, he showed himself to be someone who knows how to build tension very well in films such as Don't Breathe. And so here with Alien Romulus, it returns the franchise back onto that horror focus, and I wasn't surprised to learn that Alvarez has played Alien Isolation because many sequences here do remind me of that game. As seen during the film's promotional campaign, they have used quite a few practical effects here, and that's always welcome. It does help give you a bit more depth to what you're seeing, and especially in regards to things like the face huggers, because there's a really good sequence involving them that was full of tension, and also actually being able to see them crawl around made it even more effective. But Alien Romulus is not a perfect film by any means, and I understand the mixed reception because as some people say that this is one of the best films of the year, it's going to reignite the Alien franchise, but then you have others who say that this is a mashup of old things we've seen before and there's just too many references to those old films. So has the film got a good balance between this fan service as well as inventive new ideas? Well, if we look at the third act, that's where we get most of these ideas come to the front. There's a sequence involving alien blood, which I thought was pretty cool, but it's one of those where I feel like the idea was cool, but the execution maybe not so much, because I was sort of scratching my head a little bit at a certain point. And there's a few moments like that, and there's one actually just after that where I was like, oh, please don't do this when it comes to maybe making a reference, and they make the reference. I'm like, oh, bloody hell, they had to go there, because that really took me out of it completely, and that kind of sucks because, like I said, the film does build tension very well, but when you've got an Easter egg or a reference which just pulls you completely out of it, it just ruins the moment. I know I'm sort of going back to front here, but the third act does have a reveal that will get people talking, and I think you'll either love it or hate it. I think I love it, but I think, again, it's the idea I like and not necessarily the execution. I think they just spend too much time earlier on in the film doing things which are by the numbers, when instead they could have maybe done a better story, which better links into what we see at the end there. But I think with Alien Romulus, it's also good that it's got this sort of discussion point, because it means it will get people talking online for a while. It will keep the longevity of the film going, and that's great, especially for this film coming out in August, when it hasn't really got much competition. There's not much coming out in the next few weeks, so it's really got this month all to itself, because August is really known as a sort of leftover month. Many years in the past, we've seen it before, where you just get the crap left over from the summer. Alien Romulus was initially just going to be released on Hulu, on streaming, and not get a theatrical release. But I'm actually happy to see it in cinemas because it's a really beautiful film. I think stylistically it works really well. Great cinematography. I think I think it really does capture the essence of these scavengers being on this space station and not knowing what's around each corner. And so I think actually having it in the cinema was a great move, and I think it's actually worked out very well for the film too, because it's got a budget of $18 million, and in its first weekend it's already made over $100 million, so not looking bad so far. When it comes to the plot of Alien Romulus, it's pretty much what you'd expect, and so it's a little bit predictable because it keeps to that format so much, where we have a group of scavengers going on to this derelict space station where they're going to encounter the xenomorph and other alien creatures, and not many of them are going to survive. And so a lot of the success for this film does rely on your connection to the crew. And the main star is Kaylee Spaney, who plays Rain, and I thought she was great. I've really liked her actually in a lot of the things she's been in recently, like Priscilla, as well as Civil War. Her bond with her adoptive brother Andy, who's a reprogrammed synthetic human, I thought worked pretty well. At the start of the film, I wasn't so sure on him though. I was like, oh, is he going to get annoying? But he does actually turn out to be pretty good, and a lot of that does come down to David Johnson playing him. I think he was very good as Andy. He had a lot to work with this character, and he did an excellent job. However, I wasn't as keen on some of the other members of the crew, one being Tyler and the other one being Bjorn. They're both played by British actors, and I just never believed them as these characters. I just didn't think they really fit into this world. I just didn't believe they could do what they were about to do. Like, I didn't even think they could change the battery in a remote, let alone do what they do in the movie. So yeah, I mean, I know Bjorn, he's a character who you hope to die, and he's, you have that in all these crews. There's always one or two where you think, want the alien to win, but that still didn't change the fact that I never believed them in the first place. That was the key issue. Also, as part of this crew, we have Eileen Wu as Navarro and Isabella Merced as Kay. The latter does get quite a bit more to do in this movie, and Isabella Merced we will see quite a lot soon as well, because she'll be in the season 2 of The Last of Us as Dina, and this year she was also in Madam Web, which did not go down so well. And she's actually had quite a big career already. Like, she's already been in things like Dora the Explorer and also Transformers: The Last Night. So she's a name which I think, maybe we'll keep an eye on, because I think, she's getting quite a few bigger roles now. So maybe she's on that upward curve, like Kaylee Spaney, the lead. And that brings me nicely onto my next point, where this is a cast which has no major star included. And so it is relying on these actors to do their jobs well, because all these people are pretty much unknown to the general public, and I think they have done well. I think the film has done well. We've seen some good reviews, we've seen some good word of mouth, and these actors are playing younger characters, which I think is a little bit of a turn-off potentially to the older Alien fans, just to have a cast full of young adults. But at the same time, I feel like that's why the film has really dipped into the nostalgia so much. That's why we have so many member berries included here.
I remember Jeff Goldblum. He was fantastic. I love Jeff Goldblum. Remember?
I definitely was not expecting to see this film have as many, fan service moments and references as it did. It really went into a bit of a Ghostbusters Afterlife sort of mode, and I feel like at times I was like, I don't actually need that. I don't actually need this. I'd rather you do something else, because we've been here before, and we don't want to have this again. Especially when you're repeating a lot of the scenes we've seen before in a different light. Sometimes the scene feels like it's paying homage to the old films, but then at other times it feels like it's just sort of copying and pasting it. That's not to say all these references were just put in there for the sake of it. Some were woven into the plot quite well, and there's a character included here which I was not expecting to see at all, and I think I kind of like how they were included, but at the same time, how they looked was not amazing. What did help though during these moments of familiarity to keep me intrigued was the space station, all the discoveries we can find on board, and different opportunities that arise from the different mechanisms on board as well, and how we can maybe use this later on. As I said before, this film does do tension well. You do have that claustrophobic feeling of being on this space station as they're walking past windows, seeing that beautiful space out there. But when it comes to scares, I was hoping for a bit more. I really thought it could have got to that level where I was actually scared. I never got scared in the film, and perhaps I'm just immune to it at this point. But I think a lot of that comes down to it sort of going in the sequence of the film. Like, I knew this character would probably die at this point. I knew the order of the deaths. I knew who's going to probably make it to the end. With these scenes being so like the other things we've seen before in Alien and Aliens, I sort of know how it's all going to go. So I do wish there was maybe a little twist here and there just to keep me on my toes. But for Alien Romulus, this is the 7th installment in the Alien franchise, and after having so much dross for so long, I think people are just excited to see some good Alien content. Now, I think for myself, I enjoyed many aspects of this film, but at the same time, there are many aspects I did not enjoy. So it was a real mixed bag. But it's just a shame, because I feel like this could have been an amazing film, but I was just constantly distracted by crap. Whether that be a reference, whether that be something I've already seen before, whether that be something which I feel like could have been done better. And call me greedy, but I wouldn't have minded a little bit more xenomorph.
I like to eat you with my little mouth too.
Oh, now y'all get back up inside me, little mouth.
I don't give ratings on my video reviews, but I will be giving Alien Romulus a 3-star rating on my Letterboxd account, and if you want to follow me on there, feel free to do so. I will link it down below. I am more active on there now. I do give some ratings on films I don't have time to review on there as well, so feel free to connect on there and I'll happily follow you back. So what were your thoughts on Alien Romulus? I'll be very intrigued to see, because as I just said, there's so many different opinions here. So where do you land on it? Do you think it was good? Do you think it was bad? Is this your third favourite Alien film? Is it maybe your favourite Alien film? Let me know all that down below. And if you'd like to watch something else on screen, we have a couple of my recent videos.